We're addicted to technology.
We are addicted to technology. So welcome, everybody. We are now on the Pitch Queen Facebook Live. It is awesome to hopefully see everybody. This is impromptu, so I know this wasn't planned. You did not get an email about it, and you're probably wondering, Michelle, what is wrong with you? Today is Valentine's Day, and I know today is Valentine's Day, and, you know, it's pouring rain here in San Diego. We're stuck in our houses and our offices. We don't want to leave and drive on the roads, so what's not a better way to start than doing an episode of the Abundant Accountant podcast? So I'm very excited to have you all meet the founder of Certified Tax Planners, Dominique Molina. So welcome, Dominique, to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. This is well overdue for sure. And can you just share with everyone, all the accountants listening, you know, what is it that you created for all CPAs, enrolled agents, and tax attorneys across the country?
Well, the simple answer, Michelle, is a much better life, a much better work lifestyle, premium fees, working less hours, less deadlines, less stress, less pressure, which I know seems hard to believe, yes. Especially at this time of year, because everybody's pulling their hair out with deadlines and things of that sort. And so we're going to be talking today about a really important topic, and that's sort of my specialty, is how do you get people to pay you a lot more so that you can afford to work with less clients, you have a much more scalable model if that's your choice, and you have a much better life. So what's not to love? It's the perfect day to talk about it.
It is the perfect day to talk about it because today is just all full of love. And, you know, I've personally heard this question. We're maybe going up on 1,000 times now of how do I choose my pricing model, right? And I completely get it, right? Because I've talked to a lot of you who are listening, and how you charge for your expertise is one of the most important decisions you will make as an accountant, enrolled agent, bookkeeper, like whatever you're doing in this field. This is the most important question, or the most important thing you should have figured out, and Dominique is definitely the person to have answer all these questions. So in this episode today, we are going to explain the different pricing models and which pricing model would work best for accountants and your firms, and also how to get the prices that will stick, right? And that's really what we're going to be discussing today. So grab a pen and paper, pay really good attention, because you're not going to want to miss any of what we're talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said a couple of key things in there, Michelle. One is, you know, having pricing for your expertise or getting paid for your expertise. So that's a big one, is what are you actually getting paid for? Yes. And then the second one is, you know, this is the most important thing that you should have hopefully figured out by now. But I got to tell you, if you haven't, you're not alone, because most people kind of adopt pricing standards from somewhere. And whether you're in business and you're just starting, or you've been in business 40 plus years, it is possible to change your pricing model. So stay tuned, because we've got a lot of great information for you today.
All right. Well, Dominique, I think the first thing we want to tackle is hourly pricing, right? So what are the key things that every accountant listening should know about, you know, hourly pricing? Is it a good option? You know, especially products that have deliverables. Share with us all of your knowledge on hourly pricing.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of goes back to what are you actually getting paid for? And believe it or not, when I started my own CPA practice, I really didn't stop to think about that question. I think it was more in my subconscious that, oh yeah, of course, I get paid for what I do. And so in the hourly billing model, this is especially important, because if you're choosing to use the hourly billing model, what you're saying and communicating to everyone is that you're getting paid for your time. Now, what you do with that time is sort of a mystery. and oftentimes, you know, the clients have no idea, and they're looking at the bill and going, how did it take you that long? It shouldn't take that long. Or why are you charging me for research? You should know all this stuff already. Right. And so in that model, you are getting paid for your time. Of course, a big downfall to that is that time's limited. We only have 24 hours in a day.
Very true.
And even if you're scaling and you have other people working for you, they only have 24 hours in a day. So time is very difficult to leverage unless somehow you're producing something in that time that you can use multiple places.
Can you give us an example of that, Dominique? So if someone is, stuck on the hourly model, they're not really wanting to change or try something new. Can you give us an example of what you mean by doing something where you can use it in multiple places?
Sure. So let's say I have a good friend of mine that's in Central Florida, and she developed what she calls handy handouts. And these handy handouts explain a lot of frequently asked questions that she was getting by new business owners that were coming in and saying, what kind of entity should I be, and do I need a business license, and who do I call for this, and who do I call for that? And so what she did is she spent some time creating this resource, and she's been able to sell it over and over again for $1,000. Now, in that story that I just shared, she's not using an hourly billing model. If she were, she would get paid for the 4 or 5 hours that it took her to put that together, yet she's been able to charge for the product in a way that she gets paid over and over again for that same work that she's doing for multiple clients in that same hour. So let's say that she was doing that for 5 people. She could charge those 5 people for that same 4 or 5 hours of time, but she's able to leverage that at the same time.
Right, so like a 5-for-1 special.
Yes, but I have to say, how often does that actually come up in our world, right? We're doing customized work. I don't know about anybody else listening, but very infrequently do I ever do a tax return that's identical for anybody else. True. Or accounting or bookkeeping or payroll or whatever it is. Most of the time in this industry, it's very difficult to do that and leverage that same hour for multiple people.
Yes, but it's a good idea if someone is stuck on staying in the hourly model. How can you do something once and duplicate it or do it times 5? I don't know the word for that, but I'm sure there's a five-plicate it option.
Yes.
All right.
I think it's quintuple.
Quintuple.
Is it quintuple? Yes.
If you quintuple it. Okay. So what about another pricing model like project-based pricing?
Sure. And I think this is where things sometimes get confusing because the term that we use in the industry is flat fee pricing. And it's exactly as you've described, Michelle. It's project-based, meaning somebody needs a project done, whether it's an audit or maybe it's a compilation or a review or a tax return that includes these forms or even a monthly bookkeeping service. And you're assigning a price for all of that work and what's included in doing that. Yep. Now, some people say that when they're flat pricing, they're interchanging that term with value pricing. And it can be value pricing, but here's how you can tell if your flat fee pricing model is value or something else. Okay. Because it all comes down to what is underlying the price. What I know a lot of firms do is they will quote a flat fee, but it's based on an estimate of the hours it's going to take to complete that job. Same thing in the tax return world. If I know that it takes me roughly an hour to do a Schedule A and an hour to do a Schedule E and 15 minutes per trade on a Schedule D, and of course I'm just getting this all muddled up, but then I'm still, even though I'm quoting one fee for the whole project, I'm still using an hourly billing model. Now, if I base the price on something else, such as the value that's created from that project, it is a combination of a flat fee model and a value billing model. So you can still all come back to hourly billing, even though you may be just giving one price, if it's based on the number of hours it's going to take you or what you estimate.
Yep. So So from what we've shared so far on pricing models, what would you say are the pros and the cons for anyone who's considering, I need to make a change. What I'm doing right now isn't working, and I want what you were saying earlier. I want to make some more money. I want to work a little bit less and have more time for some fun.
Yeah, I think it's important to know all your options. So we've talked about 2 different pricing models, but there's really 3 others as well that exist in the industry.
What about retainer pricing?
So retainer pricing is, again, you still have to understand what is the underlying concept that it's based on. So again, if it's based on an estimate of the number of hours, then you're actually using hourly billing. Now, some people can price based on costs. And so in that case, what they're doing is they're estimating how much it's going to cost them for a project or an engagement to completion, and then they're hopefully doing some sort of markup on those costs. So if I know that I'm paying my bookkeeper $25 an hour, I might bill my bookkeeper out for $50 an hour. And so that's a combination of hourly billing and pricing based on costs. Some people in the industry, believe it or not, give it away for free. And that certainly can be a viable model, believe it or not. Right. It's called the loss leader, right? We see this everywhere in industry. We see Twitter. Twitter's a free model, right? You can go on. It doesn't cost you anything. But Twitter makes a boatload of money. How do they make it? Well,
advertising.
Absolutely. We also see a lot of financial advisors using this model because they want to attract in their ideal type of customer, and one way to do that is deeply discounted or even free accounting or tax services. And so that's another option. And finally, there's pricing based on what you think the market will bear. And sometimes that is either flat fee or even hourly billing. But what you're doing is you're establishing your prices based on what you think your competitors are charging or based on what your response has been from using that price with clients.
Yep. And then there's one other one, which is your favorite.
Yes. My favorite is value pricing.
Yes, value pricing. Let's talk about your favorite and get into the nitty-gritty and the meat of things right here.
Yeah, I mean, value pricing, you have to understand, like, what is value to begin with. And value really is about what kinds of results are you creating? And let's say that your objective is to help somebody increase their profits or improve their take-home pay by helping them budget and cut expenses. Then value pricing might be a really good solution for you as long as you're creating that value. And what you're doing with value pricing is you are capturing a piece of that value and using that as your price. So a lot of times people say, well, then what is value pricing? And value pricing is really, and what is that value question? It's the maximum amount that a customer would pay for anything. Yep. We can use this in a lot of other different forms, but as far as it goes in the accounting industry, we want to base it on results. What are the outcomes? I got to tell you something. Nobody really cares about their bookkeeping or payroll or tax returns or any of the other number of things that we are amazing at. We know what goes into it. Unfortunately, our clients often don't understand what it takes to get that job done. And so that's where it's difficult then to have an effective hourly pricing model because people don't understand what it is that we do and how hard it is. And at the same time, it's like, where are you actually getting paid for all the effort that goes into even learning this stuff? An estimate came out from the IRS when tax reform was released on how long it would take people to understand the new laws. And the estimate was 2,000 hours.
Wow.
2,000 hours for a professional to study enough to be able to assist their clients. Where do you actually get paid for those 2,000 hours in an hourly billing model?
Hey, you won't. I have an idea, though, because don't you teach accountants and CPAs and EAs and tax attorneys how to do that in a less amount of time, not 2,000 hours?
Well, I think the 2,000 hours is kind of irrelevant. It
Right.
takes however long it takes, right?
Right.
Some people may learn faster. Some people may learn slower. Some people may use resources in education that are better and more effective at helping them learn. But the point is that generally in an hourly billing model or even in a cost billing model, you're not capturing the real costs that go into that, and that includes things like time and costs for education and all of that stuff. And so if you think about it, what we're able to actually do for people is what they really want after all. Again, I said nobody really wants what we deliver. They do it because they have to. But sometimes we're also creating results based on those deliverables that we produce.
And I think
So
it's
whether
like
that's
you said, it's like the outcomes, right?
yes.
It's the outcomes, but I think you said something really key. Not only do they not really care about any of the details, they want to know the outcomes, but I think this is the first time I heard you, why isn't anyone incorporating the teaching, the schooling you've been through, the master's degree you have, the additional investments you made in your education, and adding that as part of your value-based pricing?
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's a key element that a lot of people are missing.
Right. It is, because even if it's just counting your on-the-job training, if you've been at this 10, 15 years, you have developed wisdom and knowledge over that 10 or 15 years, and you should be compensated for that. We understand that. We understand what it means. If you've been in the business for a while, then you probably know more than somebody who just...
Uh-oh. Did we lose her? All right, guys. Well, we lost her. The weather must be so bad in San Diego that Skype's not even working. So, let's see if she comes back on. Yes, we lost Dominique. So hopefully, she will come back on shortly. In the interim, while we're all waiting, Ian, you don't need to keep this part in. But in the interim, if you have a question for Dominique, put it in the comments below right now, and I'm going to address it in a Q&A with her. So put it down below, any questions that you have. Let's see all the comments. If you are on my Facebook Live or Instagram Live and you want to catch this whole thing, go on over to the Pitch Queen page, okay? So the Pitch Queen on Facebook, you're going to see both of us in the interview. If you're an accountant or CPA, then this is for you. So I'm going to bring Dominique back on. Hopefully, she can join us into the live broadcast. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I'm going to try it at least. But again, if you have a question, Aristotle, I think that's Carmen, anyone else watching, put the questions that you have for Dominique about pricing for your accounting firms in the comments below. So, okay. Well, we will wait until she comes back. I guess I could finish, but I don't want to because she was on a roll for a second. But if you have any comments or questions, just put them in the comments below and I'll make sure that we get them answered by her when she rejoins. Hopefully she rejoins shortly. But we have had a slew. Is everyone enjoying their Valentine's Day and getting a lot of love? Today is the day of love. So enjoy your Valentine's Day. I hope your friends have provided you a lot of love. I don't know if she's calling back in. But does anyone have any questions who's watching right now? Put them down below. We are also going to do a free giveaway. So we're going to do a giveaway on an ebook for the pricing, how to make your prices stick. So if you want the giveaway, just send me a direct message with your email address, and I will choose one person and send it to you via email. So, put your email in a message to me, and I'll make sure it gets taken care of for you. All right. I don't know what happened to Dominique, but I'm going to try her one more time because we're going to do a marathon today. We're actually going to do like two more episodes after this since it's so hard to pin her down. Any questions yet? Aristotle, Carmen, let me So social mint agency, you need to go to the Pitch Queen page and jump on there. Hello Kai, hello Chef Kylie. So yeah, if you guys can't pop on over to the Pitch Queen Facebook page, that's where you're going to see everything. But we're having technical difficulties right now, so. Let me just see if she texted me. Nope. Weird. I don't know where she went. So I think we're just going to have to end this one. We'll finish it a little later. But maybe Ian, I'll finish it up, okay? We'll see if we can make it work. So anyway, back to what Dominique was saying about pricing models. If I were to recap it for all of you that are listening, the most important part is to think about what kinds of results are you creating. Are you improving your client's take-home pay by cutting budget or expenses? Are you improving their financial picture by any means? Again, are you capturing a piece of the value that you're providing to that client? With each of you here, you are providing a piece of that value to your client. I mean, you're either saving them money, you're saving them time, you're putting more money into their pockets so they can buy more equipment or go on an overdue vacation or pay more in payroll to their staff. There's so much value that you're bringing to your clients. And also, you have to think about, like Dominique was saying, what is the maximum amount a customer, a client will pay? And that is how you're going to take a piece of the pie. And lastly, value pricing is based on results. And what are the outcomes that you are going to deliver to your client? And what I want you all to think about is to never let that go. Never forget about that. The second you forget about that, it just ruins everything. And it ruins your value as an accounting professional. And there's a lot of, even right now during tax season, and you're probably listening to this after tax season, you're dealing with all these clients where maybe you raised prices on them or did something along those lines and now they're upset, right? But again, are those clients that you even want, or do you want to focus more on the bigger fish so you can work a little bit less? So I just want to end it with that. And, one quote that I really, really love is pricing is the exchange rate you will put on all the tangible and intangible aspects of your business. It's the value for cash. And the CEO of ProfitWell, Patrick Campbell, came up with that. And I couldn't agree more. Pricing is an exchange rate. So do you want a low exchange rate or do you want a high exchange rate? And I'll leave that to you to think about. I just want to thank you for being here with us today. It was an honor being here, and we're going to go do another episode. So let me figure out my technology.